His name is June. Okay. You did. Did you text that? Oh yeah, the baby. There's a store on Miller Road that's gonna celebrate 20 years.
It's right down the street from me. Right at the end of my street. No, he didn't.
Yes.
But he did run Genesee County. I'm the one Genesee County. She won by 10,000.
Everybody's, no, send me the clerk.
Question.
You guys, we need to bring these closer to
You want
us.
me to email those to you? How do you want those?
Oh, they're all on your phone, aren't they?
Yes, ma'am. Call me tomorrow.
Yeah, just email them to me, I guess.
Well, no, I link them right here, so I can email them to you tomorrow right from my desk.
Oh, yeah, you can do that. That's
Okay, call me tomorrow in the morning and,
Kinda like.
after 8.
So in order for people to hear you, you gotta,
I want one of those.
so you gotta scoot it down here closer to you. Doesn't have to be in your face, but like right here.
Oh, you didn't get me one,
Good.
G?
There.
I'll see how you do.
Wait a minute, there might be one in there. Are there more, Tracy, are there more than one of these?
No.
As soon as you mention it.
Jenna, you might
right,
need
you
to
got
lift
See that?
the cord
got
and
one.
then pull towards you. Keep pulling. No,
No, you keep that.
I think that mutes it
Chase some more down.
if you don't want someone to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I'll need one of those too.
Jenna, if you push that and you want to say something that you don't want anybody else to hear, you push this button.
Figure out how I'm gonna do this.
I know, right? We all kind of were like,
Terry, can you hear me? Yeah. We ready?
oh, is it?
Missing anybody? You guys ready?
Tracy's not here yet.
Oh, she's getting,
It's already
She's
6:02?
standing right at the door.
She getting those
She's
shifts.
coming back in.
she's getting
Yep.
those, because I didn't get one of those. Oh, you did?
I get.
She bring,
They went that way.
Thank you, Tracy.
Would you please
pa-
take
I'll-
one? Would you please take one and pass it down?
Take
They're
one
hot
and
off
pass
the
it
press.
down.
Thank you.
did you get one?
I did get one.
You did? I
I'm
didn't.
prepared like that.
Wow.
That's how you roll.
That's how I roll. Are you ready?
Yeah.
One more time. You ready down this end?
1 second.
We good.
You ready to do your pledge? Let's go.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Treasurer Clee,
Present.
Trustee Leverett,
Present.
Supervisor Miller,
Here.
Trustee McIntyre,
Here.
Clerk Triplett here, Trustee Burt,
Present.
and Trustee Amadou. Amadou?
Here.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, are there any corrections to the minutes of the special board meeting from November 18th? Hearing none, signify by saying aye if you approve those minutes. Everybody else? Aye? Aye. All right, those are approved. How about the regular meeting of November 18th? Any correction to those minutes?
Just one correction, right?
Yeah, we've already corrected.
Action
Corrected
item
it?
A. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Correction on the 8th.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the regular meeting of November 18th with the correction, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those stand approved. And the minutes from the budget workshop, November 25th. We met, we took no action. We learned,
Quite a bit.
if everyone's had a chance to review those, if you're, no corrections to them, and all those in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, those minutes stand. We move on to public comment. If you'd like to address our board, I'd ask that you come to the podium, state your name, and you'll have 4 minutes to address the board. Tracy, will you keep time, please?
Sure.
Madam Supervisor, Madam Clerk, Mr. Treasurer, Flint Township trustees. Congratulations, and welcome to the new trustees who have joined the Flint Township Board. Congratulations also to those who have been elected. By the way, I'm Jerry Preston. I forgot that was the first part of this thing, but I thought you all knew me. You know, serving on a governance organization for a municipal corporation is no easy task. There are constituents who are never satisfied with how you're spending their tax dollars. There are also those who don't understand that you must enforce the law and township ordinances, and there are those who demand services above and beyond what is reasonable. It's difficult to satisfy all of their demands with the limited resources available to you. You must work together to provide the best possible services for them. Even so, many will be ungrateful. On the other hand, there are wonderful residents who will help by volunteering to serve various boards and committees of the township. These residents know and appreciate the work you do for the township and are pleased to support your leadership. I consult with several nonprofit boards, helping them to improve their working relationships and board effectiveness. By focusing on the mission of the organization and leaving other agendas aside, they become more effective and more productive. Unfortunately, that does not always happen for the boards of municipal corporations. The design of a township's governance requires that you work together in order to get anything done. Each of you has only one vote, and as you know, 4 votes are required for approval. Each of you represents constituents of our township, and each of you receives different information from those constituents. This will create different views on a particular piece of legislation. In addition, the clerk in part manages elections and is custodian of the records, and among the treasurer's duties are the receipt of funds and the investment of money. You must work together and compromise to provide the best possible outcome for the township. Now, you've had a working session with Dr. Lou Bender on being an effective board of trustees. I've provided you with a copy of his book, which describes scenarios of municipal corporation boards and how, working together, they benefit their constituents. Now, Chapter 3 has examples of things that went wrong with other boards and provides suggestions on how to improve the outcomes. Hopefully, your work with Dr. Bender and his book will be helpful. Remember, you're public servants. You must not let any personal agenda stand in the way of providing excellent representation for our residents and taxpayers. I hope you'll put economic development at the top of your list of priorities. Improved economic development will increase the stream of revenue to our township and help its needs. We cannot continue to burden our resident taxpayers. We need to add additional corporate taxpayers. I believe that economic development starts with a name change. Just as products rebrand with a new name to improve their brand recognition, a new name will also do that for our township. An example right in our backyard is Pontiac Township. They changed their name to the City of Auburn Hills in 1983. With approximately 25,000 residents, they are now home to 40 international corporations, 22 high-tech parks, 4 colleges and universities, and Great Lakes shopping. Now, I think our name change should be followed by a change in the name of our post office, and that by the consolidation of our 7 zip code names. The township will then have a cohesiveness that will help develop our township's esprit de corps. Thank you for your service to our township. I look forward to seeing things improve in our township under your servant leadership. I would be pleased to help in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Comment we've ever got.
Okay, you got a book?
Yep.
You got a book. Cheers. Cheers.
Ralph Lewis, first off,
Oh, the book.
What's his name?
Cheers.
congratulations on your appointments and representing the township for another duration. We wish you the best, that's for sure. But now my question is, I received my tax statement from up north. Are the statements from the township, have they been put out yet? Or are they going to be put out soon?
They're-
Okay.
Yes.
They are? Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. And that I'll end, and I'll also wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
My name is Gerald Roberts. Lived in this township for over 50 years. I want to congratulate the new board members. I was here for the swearing in. And the pastor or the minister gave a very, very good speech with regard to the board working cohesively with one another. Over those 50 years, I've seen good boards and I've seen bad boards. And some boards, it got to a point, in other words, where it was chaotic with regard to the personal resentments and the resentments, in other words, towards the supervisor and other members of this particular board. I don't take any advice from the supervisor. Most of the words coming from my mouth, basically, are from what I sit back out there and I observe. As being an auditor with General Motors, working in internal control, I had the privilege, in other words, of auditing an awful lot of offices within General Motors, different departments. The supervisor needs support. She can't do it all herself. And what Mr. Preston said, there's 4 votes that are needed, in other words, to support the supervisor. I've seen a coalition before with regard to groupings of different people that work as a block to work against the supervisor. That shouldn't be. Each individual person up there should be voting to their own convictions and what their heart says. And prior to your speaking, what I do is I say something before I come up here. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord. That helps me out. Maybe you might want to use that before you come to a board meeting. Thank you very much and good luck on your new positions. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Kevin Stiff, I own the dive shop on Corona Road, and I'm also a resident of this township and have been for many years. I came to the budget meeting, what, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and as always, I didn't see a single person give in to anything everybody wanted. I was a little disappointed seeing that where our budget is for this coming year. I would have thought there would have been a little give and take somewhere, but it looked more like more take than give. Taxpayers can only pay, I mean, we can only spend so much money of ours. I mean, as it goes right now, taxes are going up, and with our budget deficit, you guys only have one choice really. And what is that? That's to raise taxes. We can't keep paying taxes all the time. You know, I think at this point, I think the board should really look at essential services, the fire department and the police department, and I think that all other services, except for a very shoestring, should be gone. Clerk should do her job. The supervisor should do her job. Treasurer should do his job. If you have to have 5 or 6 people in your department when you didn't have it before, then I think you guys really need to step back, take a good look at what's going on, and maybe we need to step back 5 to 7 years with how we've run this. I've come to these meetings for like the last 12 or 13 years. And I just, every year, I see it going down and down and down. I know I'm not as polished as Jerry, and sometimes I get my facts wrong. But when I come up here, I don't lie, like 1 or 2 people have stated. When I come up here, I don't lie. I try to get my facts right. So when I hear something, I try to look into it, and make sure that that's what I'm saying. I've owned a business for 40 years. I've paid taxes, and I've gave to the fire department, I've gave to the police department, I've gave to the beautification here in the township. I'm trying to survive, but I can't survive when I'm being eaten alive. And I think that, I hear, well, the unions won't give in. The unions won't do this. The unions won't do that. Well, you know what happens when a business has no money left? They go out of business. I see right down the street on Corona Road, that cabinet shop that opened up last year, there's a for sale sign in their front yard today. They're gonna go to Genesee Valley. Walk through Genesee Valley. The only reason most of those stores are there is because they've got 3 and 5 year leases left, and they're staying in business long to pay the leases. And then when those leases are up, they'll be gone. There is no business in Genesee Valley. Rite Aid's gone. There's, I wish we were a thriving township, and I know that there are some concerned people, but when I sit out here and I listen to what goes on, it doesn't sound to me like the board as a whole cares. You don't really care, because George Menoudas made a statement when he was a board member. Well, we don't really care if we get your taxes now or we get them later. We'll get them one way. That's a terrible thought to think that that's how you people feel too.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? No? We'll move on to reports. So I wanted to congratulate the new trustees and welcome our new board. It was a very nice ceremony having Representative Dan Kildee here to swear us in and give us the oath of office. I want to also thank the board. Just before our meeting, I asked you to sign a letter of support that Michigan Township Association put out. It's to give a greater share of funding to the townships. I just read this last weekend that, from our budget workshop, we know that the revenue, and this is part of the letter that I wrote, our revenue for 2024 is what it was in 2009. That comes from the crash of the housing market. And I know people are tired of hearing that, but that's where the bulk of our income, our revenue comes from, is taxes, and everyone was affected. So I thank you for signing the letter of support. It will be sent to Governor Whitmer before I leave this evening. And it was in support of the House bill that's voting on the trust fund for a greater portion of revenue sharing. And if I read correctly, you can look and see that revenue sharing to the local municipalities is 51% of what it was back in 2002. So there's a couple ways we get revenue. One is through taxes, one is through economic development, one is through the fees and things that we charge for the services. So we as a board are charged with passing a budget at our next meeting. So I'm asking you, if you have any questions, please have your questions answered. Go spend some time with the controller. He can answer your questions. Asking them, waiting till the night we pass the budget it could cause a long meeting, but you can get your questions answered beforehand. If you have a suggestion, please email all of us. We can all give our input to Kevin to make any changes on the budget. But I want to thank you for signing that letter. We'll look for the vote on that House bill for increased revenue sharing for the public, for the trust fund. We're also waiting for the legislature to permanently pass funding for a public safety trust fund. We've been notified by Senator John Cherry that we will be receiving some of that money. I'm not sure how much, but we'll be looking forward to receiving that here in 2025. Other than that, I do not have anything further in my report. Madam Clerk, do you have a report this evening?
I do not have a report this evening, no.
Mr. Treasurer, do you have a report this evening?
I do. Just reach out to those folks that are listening, have been here, come several times. There you go, Jerry. We are out collecting past due taxes. We're looking at stuff that folks have laid to the side, been chasing that for quite a little bit now. I've been trying my hardest with the help from our team. The other piece is, Kevin and I were on the phone this afternoon, been conversations on Friday with changing some of our money, that's your money, I say ours, it's your money, it's our money, that is sitting, earning some better interest rates than it has in a long time. But we're going to look at moving some of it around to get a little better interest rate and find some more dollars to help pull down some of the costs that we're working with. Next board meeting, I will be pulling together what we have so far as interest earned for 2024, and what are with these conversations I've been having over the last few days, the anticipated interest that we will be able to earn with the dollars we have moved in those places for 2025. That's just about it, and I have one item on the agenda.
Thank you.
Question, if I may. Can you make sure the board gets the copy of what that report's gonna be before the
Yes,
meeting?
I'll give it all to you guys ahead of time. Yep. Thank you, Barb.
Thanks.
I had that here as you and I had spoke about, so,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Do we have any trustee reports this evening?
I don't.
No? This way? Yes.
Okay, first of all, I thank God for everybody that participated in this ceremony that we had, and I thank God for everybody that participated in the voting, and I took it as a historical type of election because my name appeared on the ballot with the President of the United States. And I really thank God for it. I thank God for all the support that we had for the township. I've been talking to mostly everyone, but I think most of all that we desire to have your support in all that we do. And it can really be helpful if everybody kind of bring those suggestions and all the things and all the support that you have to render to us to really help us move township forward. And we've had a lot of helpful information, but we got to put that information in action. So I appreciate your support and thank God for you. That's
You
all I
want
got.
the suggestions to go to gleverett@flinttownship.org?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. So we move on to staff reports. Mrs. Tucker, do you have a report for us this evening?
Just wanted to bring up, we do have Bristol Road CIA meeting tomorrow at 1:30 to adopt their final budget. We have a DDA meeting on Thursday at 9 a.m. to adopt their budget. And then we will have a meeting on, it's the 19th, it's the third, no. Yes, it is the 19th for the Beecher Road CIA to adopt their budget. It's the process, just so the members know, the process with the authorities is that they do a draft, they send it to you, you approve it, and then it goes back to them to be adopted. The board has already approved two, and tonight is the Bristol Road CIA one for you to look at, and then it'll go back to them for adoption. We also have the Small Business Saturdays pushes going on right now, where we have radio stations going out and doing remotes at various locations. We are advertising on Cumulus, Town Square, and Fox, so no matter what you're listening to, hopefully you'll hear about Flint Township. Come join us, right? So that's what I have. I do have a couple items on the agenda. Oh, and the public information meetings for the Bristol Road CIA for all the economic development authorities is on December 11th. We're doing one at 10 and one at 5. So if you'd like to come out and hear about that, I will try to get that report out to you prior to that meeting so you can look at it, and if you have questions, you'll be prepared for it.
You said 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. on
Yes.
December 11th. Thank you.
Yes. We're required to have 2 meetings.
Thank you. Chief Wangler, a report for us this evening?
Thank you. Since last board meeting on November 19th, the police department has responded to 1,142 total calls for service. This number includes 709 primary calls and 433 backup calls for service, roughly 80 calls per day that the police department has taken. A few highlights. On 11/26, a Flint Township police officer's patrol vehicle was struck while going through the intersection of Linden and Miller Roads. This officer was responding to an emergency situation. The officer was driving with his full lights and sirens activated when the patrol vehicle was T-boned, causing the patrol vehicle to roll onto its roof. Thankfully, neither the officer nor the other driver were injured in this crash. And a few upcoming community events. On December 11th, we will host Shop with a Hero, the first event at Target on Miller Road, with partnering with other first responders in our community, including our fire department. And again, on December 17th, we will again host a second Shop with a Hero at Walmart on Corona Road. Both of these events will take place with children from the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Flint. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Chief Beckley, do you have a report for us this evening?
I do, thank you. Since the last board meeting on November 18th, your fire department's responded to 43 incidents. Included in this is 8 structure fire calls. A couple of the highlights: on the 22nd of November, we responded to Myrtle Grove Mobile Home Park again for another mobile home on fire in that community. Upon arrival, the home was completely involved in flames. We declared this fire what we call a defensive fire due to it being a vacant home with no life threats there. After the house fell down, basically it was found it had a metal roof underneath the asphalt shingle roof that required us to basically disassemble the entire home on scene. So fire crews worked on this incident for about 5 hours on scene, and then about 2 hours after the fact, getting all of the equipment back in service. So it was about a 7-hour event from start to finish for a vacant mobile home. Very labor intensive call. During that call, we were dispatched to Clover Tree Apartments for a reported structure fire in one of their buildings. The report was smoke detectors going off and smoke inside of the hallway. The crews arrived to find a smoke smell in the hallway, had to force entry into an apartment, and found a small fire in the kitchen that luckily was contained to that area. Very minor damage on that one also. And then on the 29th, we responded to the 4200 block of Fenton Road, right at Fenton and Judd, for a reported house or a structure fire there. Crews arrived to find a makeshift shack kind of house made out of pallets in the woods, right there at Fenton Road and Judd Road, that was completely involved in fire. It was about 300 to 400 feet back into the woods. So they were out there for quite a while, deploying hose lines, getting all of that stuff out. Did begin to catch the woods on fire also. And one citizen did suffer significant burns to their hands during that incident. And we have no action items on the agenda this evening.
Thank you. I don't think we have any committee reports this evening. We'll move on to number 8. Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you. Trustees, you should have all received copies of the invoices and/or disbursements via email. You also can receive and look at those hard copies throughout the day if you'd like. We therefore, I'm asking to the amount of $234,196.58 as authorized by the purchasing policy. In addition, we'll have tax disbursements of $117,600.82 for a total of $351,797.40 in invoices and tax disbursements. And if you'll accept that as my motion, I would like to speak on it once you do.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
We have a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $234,196.58. Mr. Treasurer?
Yes, thank you. Again, I need to be clear so that folks understand. We're asking to write a check for $351,797.40. Madam Supervisor, you just stated asking to pay the bills of that of $234,196.58. That other $117,600.82 is a pass-through again, folks. Unfortunately, that does not stay here. We collect it, we send it on to the county. And I'm going to hope to be able to pull together for you guys, starting in our reports in the first of the year, the portions that we keep and the portions that we are not allowed to keep, so that there's a lot more clarity and understanding of that. And that's my intent to, hopefully it'll help folks better understand when I ask that we pay and authorize to pay a bill and authorized to send the checks to the taxes through. If anybody has any more questions with that, please grab me on the way out. Mr. Stiff, I'd like to speak to you if you don't mind. I know this isn't a question and answer, but I do have a comment for you.
Are there any other questions or discussion on
Just wanna
the
say
motion to pay
that,
the bills?
Again, I'm going to vote no because we need to get a policy going to help with the lawyer fees that we keep accumulating, and they were quite extensive this past year. So until that happens, I will continue to vote no.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or discussion? Alrighty, hearing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please take the roll call on the motion to pay the bills in the amount of $234,196.58.
Trustee Vert,
No.
trustee McIntyre,
Yes.
trustee Leverett,
Yes.
treasurer Klee,
Yes.
trustee Amadou,
Yes.
supervisor Miller,
Yes,
clerk Triplett, yes. Thank you.
thank you. Are there any correspondence or informational items this evening?
None.
Didn't think so. We'll move on to new business, action item A. We have set the public hearing for our 2025 Budget Appropriations Act resolution for this evening. So we are going to open up the public hearing. If you'd like to speak on the budget and only the budget, I'd ask that you come to the podium and give us your name and address. And you'll have 4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes to address the board. I don't know. What, are we doing 4 minutes?
Right now it's 4. You
Four.
guys haven't changed the meeting
Right.
rules yet.
4 minutes. And it is now
31.
6:31. We open the public hearing. And anybody can speak on the budget if you want to.
Evan Stiff, resident. For the last 12 or 13 years, I've got up here and basically bitched about the budget. I get the budget every year, and I go over it. I compare it to last year or the year before, and I still think that it's a runaway budget. I understand that your revenue is the same as what it was in 2002. But I think that I didn't see much progress in the budget meeting 2 weeks ago. I really didn't. It's all well and good to have JAG money, and it's all well and good to have grants from the state. But guys, you got to treat this as a business. I know politics. We've seen 3 or 4 months of just nasty, downright dirty politics, and thank God that it's over with. But you can't run this township just by politics. You have to start running it. Tom is, Mr. Klee, treasurer, he's the first treasurer in the last 3 treasurers that literally has been out chasing our money, trying to get interest. I come to these meetings and I hear, does anybody have a report? See the head bobbing. Not a single, nobody. I see the fire chief struggling to keep 12 or 13 men paid. I do kind of go at odds with the 37 police officers, but, we need essential workers in this township. And I own a business, and I've owned a couple of businesses. And when it gets to that point where you don't have the funds, somebody's got to go. Don't want to lay them off, may even be your best employee that you have. But at some point in time, we have to get a grasp on what's going on. Because when you get a grant from somebody, that's the high end of our taxes. So when our taxes go up, you guys get a grant. You say, well, I only get a certain percentage of the taxes every year. But when you get grants, that is tax money, and we're being taxed every year. My taxes on the dive shop goes up every year. I don't know, I'm ready to retire. My partner is 47 years old. She's got 20 more years. By the time she retires, the taxes on that building are gonna be in the $30,000 and $40,000 a year bracket, the way it's going right now. You all need to get a better grasp on what's going on. You know, some of you down at this end, well, it's not my department. Some of them down at this end, oh, it's not my department. It is all of your departments. I remind you guys twice a year, and I can go get the Webster's Dictionary right now, fiduciary. And if some of you don't know what the term fiduciary means, is you people work for us. Everybody in this audience, you work for us. And if we voted you into office, we voted you into office to do your job. So do your job. Start looking at the budget. Get it to where it's gonna go. There's some give and take. We all need to give and take a little bit. I do all the time. And Tom, you're not gonna get my taxes till next spring because I can't afford to pay them. As long as you know. But we need to get a better grasp on what's going on. And every one of you people that are sitting here tonight, the new two people, you all need to have a report. We need to know what's going on.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
My name is Gerald Roberts. I have a household budget. Basically, I'm on a fixed income because I retired. Social Security, my pension, a little bit of money from a 401k. I'm 82 years old. Should have died 5 years ago. Spirit of the good Lord still wants me around here. But what happens when I die? My pension goes away. My wife has to try to live in that same house that she's living in. I just made out the expenses, in other words, and paid out checks, 6 checks to go out for various things that are necessities, the requirement. That doesn't include my taxes with regard to paying for living in that house. The township needs to realize that run the township like it's your own budget. And if you haven't got money here in this particular area, move it around so that you know exactly what you did, rather than have to go to the well and ask for more, which would be an imposition on me, on a fixed income, and all these people that are on fixed incomes, everything else. I've said this before with regard to the police department. In that budget, I think it's, you could correct me, I think it's probably about 70-30 with regard to the millage that we had passed probably 11 or 12 years ago. And I think probably over $3 million goes into police and fire protection. I know that the police or the fire department is really hurting with regard to jobs and people working there. I'm not for cutting police and fire protection, but I think that should be a more equitable portion to go to the fire department rather than all to go to the police department. I see vehicles over there that every time one of those vehicles comes up, it's probably $55,000 with the equipment to come in, like one of those SUVs or whatever that's there. I drive old cars. I try to keep those cars maintenance on the road. It's cheaper for me to have rather than have a $500 car payment or a $350 a month car payment, then maybe put that money aside or whatever and try to fix the car that I've got and keep it on the road. Do the brakes, whatever has to be done to maintain that. I don't think we need to keep on spending and keep on approving in the budget these vehicles over there that are astronomical in price. You go and look for a vehicle right now and you get sticker shock. You get sticker shock to look at the price, in other words, and then look and see, where normally you would be paying for that thing over a 2 or 3 year period at a normal, affordable rate. And you're having to pay $500 a month for that particular vehicle. It's the same thing here. If those vehicles are there, let's use the longevity and put them in service longer and not spend that money out of the budget and maybe push that money back over, in other words, to get some fire people in here. I think that the fire department is coming out on the short end of the stick with regard to the budget. And I think every one of you people need to look at that and say, hey, maybe we don't need the money, as much money in the police department as we do there with regard to the vehicles.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you for letting me speak a couple extra minutes. I know.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board on the 2025 budget? Nope, so we'll move on. Action item B is the Bristol Road 2025 budget. Mrs. Tucker.
This was passed by the Bristol Road CIA. There's not much change in it, other than the revenues have went up this year to $154,150. While that's an increase in their revenue, it's actually shown as a decrease in the budget because we removed the public safety dollars from our budget. They're coming directly into the township's coffers instead of being captured and then us passing it through to you. Basically, it's the same amount for expenditures, operating costs, and the loan repayment. Nothing was really changed from this year. They are looking at possible lighting projects for the area, but that won't be in next year's budget. If they do decide to do something with that next year, the way it would work is to amend their budget. They would do the same thing that they had to do with this budget. They would have to create the amendment, they'd bring it to you, you would have to either approve or deny, and then it goes back to them to be adopted. So it's the same process, but for right now, this is what we're looking at, revenues next year of $154,150, projected expenditures $58,290, the operating costs are $33,000, and their loan repayment is $13,473. That includes their principal and interest. They've talked about paying off more on that next year, depending on where we end up with the dollars coming in this year. This is, like I said, the main projects that they do in that area is they do the decorations during the holidays, which they have done. They help pay for the events that we do, the community events. They help pay for these remotes that we're doing at the different businesses. They also did a pilot program for grants for the businesses that they actually had Homemade Chocolates by Michelle participated in their grants this year. She wanted a new sign. Their board authorizes up to $5,000. They approved a grant to her for a little over $4,800. It was almost $4,900. She bought a new sign, but along with her doing the new sign, because she had the funds to pay for the sign from the grant, she was able to also improve the facade of her building and also redo her decking and her handicap ramp. So there was more investment besides what she did with the grant. That was part of their pilot program, and then the other thing they do is they maintain the ramp at US 23 and I-75 there in Bristol Road. So that's one of their major projects.
Alrighty, so there is, a motion is in order to move forward on approving the Bristol Road CIH 2025 budget. Anybody?
We would move to accept the motion excuse me, as presented by Madam Tucker for the Bristol Road CIA 2025 budget proposal.
Or
Thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Tucker? Anyone? Go ahead.
On those lighting, Christmas lightings,
No, it's actual streetlights
street
they're
lights,
looking at.
or street lights.
Yes,
Adding
How much?
streetlights, right?
yes.
How much, I think I heard something about it, and how much is each one of those projected to cost
About $5,000
per light?
installed, about 5,000.
Okay. Thank
Now,
you.
that was top of the line. Obviously, if we're looking at a number, we're not gonna take the Cadillac because, sorry, that's a lot when you're looking at over 100 lights. So, I mean, you'd be looking at $500,000. They're looking at trying to do it in phases. But also, I mean, when you're looking at the lights, there's different, like, there's all different factors that go into the light. The one they showed us was the $3,000 one. But it depends on what you do with the base. If you have a straight base, or if you have fluting on the base and all these other things, that might not be things you even want. But they gave us the high number so that you would know that you're not gonna be much more than that, even, you know, and if you are, it'd be due to labor costs, not the light itself. But they wanted to give us an idea of what that would be. We're still looking into it further. I'd like to contact a couple other, lighting companies, see what they have to say. I don't know how many companies actually provide that type of light, though. That's the issue. So it was the actual lighting company, not the company that would be installing or anything like that. It was the actual lighting company that came to us and gave us the idea, or the outlay of what it would cost, how many lights it would need. They actually did photometrics for us to let us know.
Did any of those include the new LED lights or solar lighting?
They are LED.
Solar?
No, they're LED. Oh.
But you said you're gonna reach out to some other companies and maybe they
Yeah,
have
we want to
those
reach out to some
options
other
available?
companies. Obviously, with a project that big, you're not just gonna go with the first yahoo that comes by, right? So we're looking into it. I'm also working with the county planning commission to do a corridor study over there. So we're hoping that maybe we can get some grant dollars to help work with that issue. The one good thing about it is if we can get our own lighting poles, then, as you've wanted for many years, we would be able to do lit decorations or have our own flags that would actually stay nice because they'd be lower to the ground. One of our biggest problems down there with the banners that we put up was they were so high, it just tore them right up. The wind too heavy on them.
I know that I had spoke at that meeting, and you know how I feel about blight. And I did tell them that I don't think they need to put lights up that are very fancy or whatever until you take care of the blight. And I think that should be the focus on that end of town. And I don't want to see lights in the crap. And that's just what it is. And they really need to get a move on. And I said that to them. I spoke very strongly about that. And so I think and I'll continue to talk to this group.
Well, I appreciate that sentiment because blight, it does need to be enforced, but we are
Bad.
not the enforcement tool for blight. That would be the building
No,
department.
but there are businesses
But
that
we
need to
could-
take care of their
We've
stuff.
talked about working together to come up with a plan for how the authorities can work with the building department to have more enforcement. And I'd also like to work with you, Barb, more on the litter pickup campaigns of maybe doing some more on that, even doing some type of advertising to
Right.
make it more of give it more voice.
Right, but maybe these businesses can get those little mini grants to make improvements on their own building.
Right.
So it doesn't look like
Right, and that's
They're
what we're,
completely
and that was
vacant
really
and
why,
scraping
that
it.
was really why they did these pilot programs
Oh.
for the facade grants,
Right.
was to help them clean it
Yeah.
up.
And maybe we can do more cleanups, not just one a month.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion to approve the Bristol Road CIA 2025 budget.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Leverett?
Yes.
Trustee Amadou?
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Burt?
Yes.
Treasurer Clee?
Yes, ma'am.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Action item C, Madam Clerk.
Yes, so, let's see. Habitat for Humanity. Genesee County has applied for and received funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development under Title I program to be able to build homes on, should be in your package, is it Claremont?
Yeah, so it was several homes. are-
Several lots on Claremont. There. There quick. It's about 21 homes, or 21 lots. And so they're asking for approval from the board to be able to make that.
I'm sorry, I didn't see this.
15, right?
Yeah, 15.
It's 2 pages.
Yeah, there's 2 pages. There's
Back,
more.
back in front.
Habitat for Humanity, as you know, is a group that goes around and build very nice homes and makes, make the neighborhood look nice. So we need a motion
Can we
for,
make that motion?
yes, can you make that for me, Miss?
The letter of support.
Yes.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll support that.
Any other discussion or questions?
When is the projected start date?
They don't have one yet. Once they get it approved, they'll do the resolution and then they'll move forward with bill.
Barb, would you move the mic closer?
Better?
They have in the past, that's usually within the year.
Okay, that's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, they usually move fairly quickly. And I think they're working with the county as well.
So it's actually, it is 15 lots. But I think it's a good thing, new build, bringing, nice project to the township that will actually benefit families.
The infrastructure's already there.
Did I get a second?
Yes, myself. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So if there's no further discussion, all those in favor, go ahead.
I wanted to
Sorry.
voice that. If you guys aren't aware, most of the infrastructure's already in that, and that it was established, gosh, way before, Barb, was that George Menudis's terms, way back then when they started all of that over there? There's maybe 5 or 6 homes that are built in that area, but a lot of open properties that we could really utilize that there.
Yeah, so, all those in favor of approving the letter of support to Habitat for Humanity signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that stands approved.
Thank you.
Action item D is the 2015-2024 lateral sewer system operations and/or maintenance agreement extension. We've had a 10-year agreement with the Genesee County Drain Commission, Division of Water and Waste. They maintain our sewer water lines. And the contract ends at the end of December this year. They need some more time to look at different changes, and they're asking us to extend that contract by 1 year. You have that in front of you. And we'll be bringing back another contract before the end of next year. So we need a motion to approve the 1-year extension, please.
We would move to accept the recommendation of the county in order to extend our lateral sewer system operations and/or maintenance contract 1 full year for the year of 2025, expiring 11/59/59, December 31st, 2025.
Or,
That's, oh, you got it.
Any questions?
Yeah.
No? It's just an extension. All those in favor of approving the 1-year extension on the 2015-2024 lateral sewer system operations and maintenance agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you very much. Action item E. Did you want to speak on that, Madam Clerk? Okay, So, that's fine. We have a list of foreclosed properties from the county, and we have first right of refusal, and they're asking us if, they do two auctions. The first auction is, it's minimum, it's a minimum bid. And the second auction, which I believe this one is the zero bid. And they give the municipality first right of refusal, and there's 3 properties on the list from the county of foreclosed properties: 2434 Bertha Avenue, 3441 Flushing Road, and 1097 Woodmore Avenue. And I don't believe the township wants to take those, and we need to put it in a resolution and send that to the county. Would someone like to make the motion declining, or we would actually be opting out of the foreclosed properties?
We would move to opt out to, of the 3 foreclosed properties mentioned, Bertha Avenue, Flushing Road, and Whittemore Avenue, sending it back to the county.
Is there a second to the motion?
A second.
Any discussion or questions on that? No? Alrighty, all those in favor of opting out of the foreclosed properties signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That stands approved. We don't have any other business, and our next meeting is going to be December 16th, 2024, at 6 p.m. We intend on voting on the budget at that meeting. If you are interested, we'd love to have you here. Other than that, if there's no further business and without objection, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
And thank you all for coming.
That was painless.
It's getting warm.